inside. Brakatiyahu, Brakatiyahu Shai, Brakatiyahu, Brakatiyahu Shai, Brakatiyahu, Brakatiyahu Bashim Shai Bashim Rachakudash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, True Well. Salutations to the whole field of that day. You Akim, the Sadakim, that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. On the pre-Shaman, this week's topic is going to be entitled, We Warned About Female Nature Before Red Pill Content. Okay, we warned about female nature before Red Pill content. The we starts with the apostles and elders, and really they're just going through the proper breakdown and understanding of the scriptures, you know. What is blue pill content or blue pillar? A blue pillar is somebody that believes what they see on the mainstream media, right? That, you got to give a woman flowers, be nice, take her out, do all these sorts of things, and then hopefully, you do the right thing, she'll grow to love you more. And Red Pill is sort of pretty much saying, look, no, woman nature is much different. In fact, a woman, the less you care about her, the more attracted she becomes to you, because basically their currency is attention, and this is what they thrive for. When you deprive them of attention, they become to love you. Other things too, like being a so-called high-value man and these sorts of things. And a woman would much rather share a king than be married to a peasant. All these different things is what's covered in this Red Pill content thing, right? Slovakia. Now, the apostles and elders have been telling us the nature of these women, how they really move, how they could be really vindictive, destructive, and they give scriptures such as this, the book of Proverbs, chapter 11. I'm trying to, hold on, let me see if I can wipe this Slovakia. The book of Proverbs, chapter 11, verse 22 says, a jewel of gold in a swine's snout. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a fair woman which is without discretion. And that's what we see a lot, really. What a fair woman without discretion is like, think about these like OnlyFans models and these bitches that are TikTokers that have links to their OnlyFans, or Twitch streamers that have linked to their OnlyFans and look extremely beautiful, for example, because the beauty is an asset. A woman's beauty is an asset. These women could use their beauty to leverage against high-profile athletes. Look at what happened most recently with Brittany Renner and PJ Washington, right? This guy is stuck to this woman for life. This industry thought for life, because he has a kid with her. No matter how much divorce papers you guys do or whatever, they were never married, but you tied to her because you have a kid with her, and she is a beautiful woman, but she lacks discretion, right? She puts her body out there on display. A lot of these women lack discretion. So a golden jewel is something very precious, but if it's in a swine's snout, it's misplaced. So it shouldn't be there, right? So it's the same thing. It's like you have something of value put in a position, put in a place that has no value. Therefore, it's not worth it. So that's these beautiful women. And guess what? The scriptures, the apostles warned us to not get trapped up in a woman's beauty. And life experience teaches you that. These pimps that deal with women, that have a tremendous amount of experience with women, they never read a verse in their life, but they can give you tremendous advice from just dealing with women that align with the scriptures. You see? Let's go. But yeah, these so-called bad bitches that these stupid niggas chase after always end up hemming them up. They get married to them, and you think like, man, don't you see what happened to the first 1 millionth nigga before you? Let me not imitate that, but these pro athletes, they keep doing the same thing. Either they put a baby in them or they put a ring on their finger, and it's a curse onto them. Your Tyreek Hills, Once they get what they want, they're gone, man. You know, and these niggas I don't think they will ever learn, really. But anyway, so this is the next scripture here. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 15. A continual dropping in a very rainy day, and a contentious woman are alike. To simply put, they're both very annoying, you know. A contentious woman, a woman you wake up, she's just constantly quarreling with you, bickering with you, and just stressing the hell out of you, taking years off your life, because stress does kill, right? And guess what? You're supposed to depart from that shit. And what happens is these women trap men, so to depart from it ain't cheap now. You know, you locked up, it ain't cheap now. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta drop a big bag, and it shows you how valuable peace is, because guess what? These men do it. These men will, you know, look at Jeff Bezos. Well, I don't have no proof that his woman was quarrelsome. All I know is that dude dropped billions. He lost like 50 billion just to be divorced. You know? So look, man. Marriage, when it was initially how it's supposed to be in the scriptures, is not what we're seeing now today by even a far stretch. Okay, first of all, this idea of getting down on one knees and diamonds on the ring, diamonds are a woman's best friend, that's all mainstream manipulation. You know, marriages are supposed to be arranged, you know, and they're supposed to be a joining of families, and these sorts of things. You know, it's really like a business contract. This whole notion that I have to fall in love with a person and all this and marry them, no, it was more of a contract and a duty back in the ancient world, you know, and done very much logically, meaning the parents were dictating and doing these prearranged setups, you know, of who gets married. Because we're seeing now in today's times what happens when women are given the liberty to choose their partners. You see, because we're in a society now where women don't necessarily need a man to survive, right? They got their own careers. A lot of them are making more money than men. A lot of men are actually living off women. You know, things have just turned completely upside down, which is according to the scriptures. You know, a woman shall compass a man, you know. But with that said, with that said, with these women in the role of men, guess what? They haven't updated marriage to fit that, because marriage was created to help men support women. You see? But it made sense back then, because if a woman was not under her father, she was under her man, and there was no work and none of that going on for him. You see? But now shit done flipped, and laws and times have not caught up. So instead of needing a man like they did, they now want a man. And guess what? Women have the same archetype of men that they want. The tall, dark, and handsome is who they go after, right? Wherein us men, we want variety, man. You know, as a man, even if you have the baddest bitch, she get boring. You know, you want to switch it up. Why you think a man could have a so-called bad bitch and just fuck some mid bitch or some ugly bitch or whatever? Because it's different. You know what I'm saying? The pussy different. You want something different. That's the nature of men, because this is how the Most High has biologically set us up, to want to spread our seed. Women are the one that want so-called quality and not quality. I guess, yeah, you could say quality over quantity, but they're the one that's pretty much seeking long-term commitment and all that, and security and shit. Us as men, we just want to bust as much nuts as possible, really. You know, keep it a stack with you. And there's nothing wrong with that, because what proves that is that's how it's going to be in the kingdom. We're going to have many wives and concubines, all right, to sedate our appetite, all right? And that appetite is never going to be quenched, man. You're going to be spreading your seed forever in the kingdom. Job 2:9 says, then, and that's another point too, like, a man could be sexually active up until his old age and bring forth children. So that tells you that the Most High set things up. Men are supposed to, until they can't produce sperm, semen, okay, could bring forth children, which is the point of sexual intercourse, right? But women, they should stop. So They have a quick time clock, wherein men, we're sexually active and can produce kids way up in age. Robert De Niro dropped a kid like at 80. You see, so that right there shows you that we're looking for different things. We want variety. We want an abundance of women. Wherein women, they want a very select quantity. You see, and now that they have the option to choose, they all share in the same archetype of men and be like, oh, all men are shit. Now you all share in the same archetype of men. This is the book of Job, chapter 2, verse 9. It says, then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse the Most High and die. And I brought this scripture out because this is a red pill moment for Job. You know, he thought he had a woman that had integrity. The red pill moment is this. Man, these women are all the same, bro. You know what I'm saying? These, for more or less, the majority, damn near close to 99.9% of these women are pretty much the same. You know, and this right here tells you, because Job was a man of substance. You know, when he had all the substance and the Lord was, you know, kept blessing and increasing him, she knew how to play the role. You know, and that's how most of these women are. I'll give you an example. When these athletes go broke, these rappers go broke, the bitch that they got on their side when they met what they got when they were famous, they gone. They monkey branching. They trying to find the next thing. They trying to, you know, survival. That's how come the athletes that are smart, man, they stick with their high school sweetheart or their middle school sweetheart. They don't give a fuck if she's some bad bitch or not. Look at Patrick Mahomes. You know, no disrespect to Pat, you man on the field, but people know, like, you could pretty much bag a way beautiful woman, way more beautiful woman. You know what I'm saying? I believe he has an Edomite woman, at least a physically appearance of an Edomite woman. But a man that is intelligent is gonna know you can't pick your main chick based solely on beauty. That's so foolish. Because one, beauty is a depreciating asset, and the intangible qualities that you're going to look for that a long-term wife might have, you know, the motherly characteristics, the loyalty, all these different sorts of things, you know, is way harder to find. The submissiveness, true submissiveness, not conditional submissiveness. That's hard to find, you know. So Pat was, at least in Pat's mind, is like, well, fuck it. If I don't pan out and everything else goes, at least I know she'd be around because she was with me when I had nothing. You know? It says, then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse the Most High and die. So, you know, you got a lot of these women that call themselves sisters in the truth, and men in their naivety will be like, yeah, my wife's in the truth. You know, she know about the chip. She say she's not gonna take the chip, and really believe that shit. You know what I'm saying? When your mind should really be prepared for anything. You know, knowing that a woman's nature is truly fickle, flip-floppy. You know, they're the weaker vessels. This is what the Most High made. The Most High made them to be the weaker vessel and be subservient to their husband. That's in the book of Genesis, the 3rd chapter, in the 16th verse. 10. But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. They're all foolish, Job. You know that. You know what I'm saying? What shall we receive? Good at the hand of the Most High, and what shall we receive good at the hand of the Most High, and shall we not receive evil? In all of this did not Job sin with his lips, right? So Job ain't gonna curse the Most High and die, because men are more prone and known to have integrity, whereas women not so. Okay, this shows you, this is red pill content right in the scriptures, showing you the true nature of a woman that went from a man that had great substance to when the goodies go, how quickly they fold when men stand up and have their integrity. You see what I'm saying? And I'm gonna say this much too. Most of these quote unquote religious books of faith, they more or less are going to tell you not good things about women, man. You know what I'm saying? You know? Because life itself will show you these things that are written in the scriptures. Okay? But when I say that we starting with the apostles and the elders have really been bringing out the nature of these women, is because even though it's written in the Bible, the things that I'm breaking down through the Spirit of the Lord, men will glance over it. Why? Because a woman. Okay? Scriptures like these and understanding and breakdowns like this won't get brought out of the churches because you got a bunch of women in the churches, and these pastors, all right, get snared at the beauty, all right, the money or whatever, and don't bring out the truth on the nature of these women, man. A lot of men get hurt by this. This is a book of Proverbs, chapter 30, verse 20. It says, "Such is the way of an adulterous woman." And I'm going into different scriptures and hitting points that a lot of these so-called red pill content people dive into, and show you, like, look, all this stuff is in the scriptures with the proper breakdowns. This stuff will not surprise you. It says, "Such is the way of an adulterous woman." Now, what's adultery? Adultery is a woman, all right, that is betrothed or is dealing with a man in some sort of way and then deals with another man, all right? Adultery is not a man dealing with multiple women. Adultery is a man dealing with a woman that is betrothed or given to another man, okay? So you can have 1,000 wives as long as they're all with you, that's okay. But the moment you have 1,001 wife and that one wife is betrothed or dealing with another man, you just committed adultery. See? And the sin of that is death. So some sins you could do, burnt offerings or animal sacrifices back in the ancient world, sacrifice the devil, what have you, or appease with hopefully charity and alms. But some sins are worthy unto death. Adultery is one of them, all right? And the man that commits it lacketh understanding. Now, let's look at the nature of an adulterous woman, a woman that's big on adultery, which a lot of these women today, that's just what's going on, man. You have all these apps and shit now, and a lot of these women are riding the cock carousel, as they say. And to be real, it's not even like intent. Like, they're not seeing it like, oh, I'm being a hoe. Some of them might be seeing it that way, but what happens a lot too is some of these women end up just being hoes by default. And what do I mean by that is they're so goddamn picky and selective because they have the abundance of options that they will let a nigga hit, right? And find the littlest thing to not be interested anymore, and then give the guy an ultimatum: stick around and leave. And the guy that she told that, guess what? He probably got some shit going on and he's not gonna stand for it. So he just say, fuck it, I'm gonna get with another bitch. He probably was never taking her serious. Now she on to the next nigga, hoping there's a different outcome. And it's not till about like 10, 13, 14, sometimes 20, 30 dicks down the line that they realize, like, holy shit, now I'm in my late 30s and none of the shit I've been working, let me try to get it together now. Now that time is too late. All right? Where in the ancient world, or even not even the ancient world, man, maybe like 50 years ago, when these 70 years ago, your grandmother, think about your grandmother, when she didn't have an option, she stuck shit through. They'd be like, oh man, relationships lasted so long back in the day. Men were still doing the same shit back in the days. The only difference is the woman had not much options to bounce, man. You see? So they stuck it out. You women out there that call yourself in the truth, if you leave your man and break up a family, or even a woman in general, because the man you with fucks some bitch, you are stupid. You're foolish, okay? Because you just broke up a family over your fucking emotions, and guess what? That side bitch is probably just somewhere else now, gone. And this happens time and time again. Proverbs 30 and 20, "Such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eateth and wiper her mouth." What's she eating, man? She eating babies, man. Okay? Before her husband come home, then she grabs some Listerine. Oh, I ain't do nothing. Kiss a nigga in the mouth. This is what's going on, man. Look at all them videos you see on World Star and these red pill guys go into. Darius M, Fresh and Fit, you name it. All these different examples of these women doing these things, man. Pretending to be a housewife. She a dot. And men cannot take this. You gotta understand. That's why the scriptures warn about the jealousy of a man. The jealousy and rage of a man is far more different than the jealousy of a woman. You see? You could have your woman, you could love her to death. You fuck a bitch, she'll hurt, but she could take you back and get over it. Man is different. A man will fucking kill everything. You see? And himself sometimes. Mainly Edomites do that, but still, you know, a man will completely lose it. It says, such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eateth and wipeth her mouth and saith, I have done no wickedness. And some of these hoes, they do hoish things, and you tell them that's some hoe shit, and they looking at you like, why? Why can you do it? You could do it, but I can't do it. Yeah, why are you comparing yourself to a man? You know? And people always give the water analogy, a glass of water. If I pass a glass of water to you and you pass it to somebody else, it's no big deal. But if I dip my hand in that water and told somebody else to drink it, and they got to dip their hand in that water and then tell somebody else, you see how disgusting that sounds? It's just as disgusting as that box being passed around. You know? It's different rods going in is much more different than men smashing different women. You see? Salaka, this one got a little graphic. This lesson got a little graphic. Ecclesiastes 7:26. Now you seen all this so-called red pill content in the scriptures. This is before Kevin Samuels. This is before Tom Likas. This is wisdom coming from King Solomon himself, who had more experience than any man. We talking about 1,000 women, you know, 700 wives, 300 concubines. Ecclesiastes 7:26. And I find more bitter than death, the woman. Right? Because at least death is a sting and then you at peace, man. That's death. You get a sting, then you at peace. Because every soul that perishes go to the spirit world. A woman though? Shit, living with and dealing, a woman could do certain things that just really break and destroy a man, bro. You know, you hear stories of them fucking a man's best friend, his childhood best friend. You know? And he don't know that until graduation. You done raised this kid your entire life, thinking it was yours. 18th birthday. Not only do you find out it wasn't his or yours, as Kanye says, you found out that the real dad is your best friend you grew up with. Only a woman would do something so fucking evil, you see? But they do it all the time. These are some of the things that go on. That's just one example of many. Ecclesiastes 7:26. And I find more bitter than death the woman whose heart, her mind, is snares and nets. They think wicked and evil shit. You know? This guy left the camp, Karab. He made a good point while he was still in the camp. He said, look, man, if you want to get any woman and get all these bitches, just be as wicked as possible and they'll gravitate to you. And I was like, shit, man, that's a good point. You know, a woman be liking the bad boys, and you like, why are you chasing after this dude that's getting in and out of jail, tattooed up from neck down and all this kind of crazy shit? Niggas not doing nothing for himself a lot of times. That's what they'll grab, just doing wickedness, selling drugs in the streets. They'd be like, that's cool. They don't say it's cool, but they're like, that's what they say. I'm going based off what the actions do, not what they say. Because they'll say they want Steve Urkel all day long, but the actions don't show that. They want the quote-unquote Pookies and Ray Rays, right? It says, whose heart is snares and nets, and hands as bands, whoso pleaseth the Most High shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. You know, so this dude go around 6'8" the grade, he goes around just standing there getting all types of women, right? Because the man has great stature, he's well built, you You know, most of these women see him as handsome. They don't know what the hell he does, or he don't got to bring no flowers. He don't got to do all that shit that you watching him, but they just gravitate to him. You know, very similar to how the whole Joseph situation. Scriptures tell you that Joseph, I forgot the word that they use in English, but when you look it up, it means handsome. It goes into his shape, it goes into his build. That's why that woman was so thirsty after him and shit. But that shows you that these sorts of things, this is their nature. All right, they're either gonna see you as a provider, you have a lot of money, you can take care of them, or provider. What's the other one? Provision or sexual reproduction. So either a woman will see you naturally as a success object or a sex object. You know, I mean, honestly, it's better to be a sex object, because most men, they won't feel used if you just give them the box. No man's gonna be like, damn, she just used me for sex. But if you're a success object and they use you for your material goods and shit, and then take half and all that hurts. You know, so you much rather be in the other lot. You know, like the 6'8" guy. But he don't do no gaming shit, but he has the appearance, and boom. So that's another thing they'll tell you. A woman don't care about looks. Mind you, a woman will be in the mirror 3-4 hours, caring all about looks, but all of a sudden when it comes to you, she don't care. They care, man. You know. But the thing is, you have men of different sorts of status and different sorts of things that they value. All right, if you meet that criteria, you can still get them. You know. But this is how come my mind is pretty much locked into the scriptures and focus and navigating when we deal with these women with as much wisdom from the scriptures as possible, so we don't end up in these situations. I mean, look, the scripture says many have lost their wits for women, even men that are of the Lord. King Solomon, the man I'm reading from, up in age, guess what? He got messed up dealing with these women. That's how the Spirit always gets us do shows on these women. Why the hell you think when we do these videos and you put women in the title, get fucking thousands of hits and shit? You know, because that's a pivotal thing. That's a pivotal. That a woman is a pivotal thing that Satan used, right, to get shit done in the world in his favor. You know. Really, ultimately, it's all the Most High. I don't want to make it look like Satan is above the Lord, or Satan is really doing any shit that the Lord hasn't ordained. But I'm just using that for general purpose speaking. You know how most people would term it. It says, "Whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands." Like I told you, P.J. Washington, you locked up for life. It says, "Whoso pleaseth the Most High shall escape from her." And what's so heavy is, I mentioned Solomon, but you also have brothers in the truth. You're doing the work of the Lord. A lot of brothers in the truth, guess what? You have come across a situation where even though you have the knowledge of understanding, even though you know about these bitches, you could fall weak to their traps and snares, man. Look like, damn, why did I pick this bitch? Why did I do that? You know what I'm saying? I know the scriptures. I shouldn't have did that with that bitch, but you did it. You know what I'm saying? So, but you got these other camps telling you that they spiritual. Ain't nothing spiritual about no woman, man. They carnal. Look at how they built. Curves, titties, ass, hair. Does that don't make me think anything spiritual. That make me think carnal shit. It says, whoso pleases the Most High shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. Right? And not just a sinner, like I said, but a righteous man too, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want brothers get it twisted like the Lord sent a bitch that really kind of fucked you up means you're wicked. Nah, man. You know, I don't mean that. See? That could just be a part of the hell that we're dealing with, you know, because the scripture says we're cursed. One of the curses is your daughter's going to be, your wife and our wives and daughters going to be a harlot in the streets. Even though you're a prophet of the Lord, that don't mean you're exempt from these curses. Job chapter 9 verse 13, it says, a foolish woman is clamorous. Now the scriptures is going to How these women can be goddamn clamorous, can't shut their pie hole. The apostles have been warning about the nigger woman for so long, telling us to avoid the black woman. Now it's mainstream. You know, that's all Byron talk about, Shaniqua and shit like that. Avoid Shaniqua, but we've been warning about the nature of the nigger woman, man. You know, if you get your a so-called black woman, you want the ones that really ain't really grow around that hood shit, or the typical. You kind of want one that's raised by another nation a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And it's not no skin color thing, because guess what? You got women of the Latin tribes that are darker than some black women, but it's just a different spirit. They carry themselves different because how they raised. See? Proverbs 9:13. Again, a foolish woman is clamorous. She is simple and knoweth nothing. And you know the scripture associated with the famous or infamous, however you look at it, video, Rasta Skank video. This is scripture that Apostle Muhammad was bringing out against that Rasta Skank. The You're a Slut video, aka. See? Because she was, here it is, men were gathered together learning, and this dread-headed demon nigger woman comes out and just started causing massive confusion and disruption. And that was symbolic, yo. That was very, like, symbolic if you see it on a spiritual level. Like, that's literally how it goes. Men are together, and then when the spirit is going, you have Satan brings a woman in, and that Rasta Skank bitch, she wasn't no ugly chick, you know what I'm saying? Just coming in and just bringing confusion. Talking about judgment for what? On who? You see? Not even knowing the context, just being a demon, and Satan was using her as he always does, okay, to disrupt the word. Wow, I just realized this is going all the way to the 18th verse. Let me read 14. For she sitteth at the door. Actually, let me just jump down. Alright, let me keep reading. Let me just keep reading up, and I'll stop at 18. I didn't expect to go this long with this lesson, you know. I mean, sorry, I didn't expect to go so long with it. I thought it'd be more on point with the scriptures, but everything's in spirit, you know. It's kind of talking a lot. Salakia. 14. For she sitteth at the door. It says, look at that, man. I'm doing this lesson, speaking of woman, some nicely shaped woman in front of me and shit got me a little distracted for a second. Okay. It says, for she sitteth at the door of her house on a seat in the high places of the city, to call passengers who go right on their ways. Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. And as for him that wanted understanding, she saith to him, stolen waters is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. That's that adulterous woman getting the person, that individual, that is weak. 18. But he knoweth not that the dead are there, and that her guests are in the depths of hell. And this could go in, of course, into philosophies, you know, because, you know, different doctrines are likened unto women. You know, like a doctrine that sounds sweet, a philosophy that sounds sweet, a way of teaching that sounds sweet, but the end of it is bitter wormwood, you know. Let me see if I can read this last one. What's the last scripture I had? I actually had another. Oh, can't read that. I think the point has pretty much been made, man. There's a million scriptures you could go into that you'll find out that the scriptures have been warning about these women and their nature far before this red pill content has been created. I just chose like a few of them. So with that, I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Rachak, the belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Mill So True Well. Salutations to the hopefully elect out there, you Akim to Zadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Shalom.